What is going on, everybody? Welcome to the Cosmic Wonder, where we talk about Marvel every day. And today we have a lot of news about the new X-Men reboot film. We have learned some new details about a very specific plot point of the film, when the film is going to take place, the villain of the film, and we have some new casting reports to talk about today of who the X-Men could be. Now, Marvel Studios already reportedly has a writer, Michael Leslie. And according to the reports that we've heard so far, Michael Leslie pitched a full X-Men 97 inspired roster for the new X-Men team. So we are talking about Jean Grey, Cyclops, Storm, Rogue, Beast, Gambit, Jubilee, Morph, Professor X, Bishop, Magneto, Nightcrawler, Sunspot. And we do have some casting reports for some of these today, but we are also talking a Wolverine. But according to some rumors that we've heard, and also according to the Marvel Studios president Kevin Feige, Hugh Jackman is going to be sticking around in the MCU for quite some time. We've heard some reports that Marvel Studios want a Deadpool and Wolverine 2 and 3. They want a complete trilogy, and Hugh Jackman wants to stay in the MCU for another 10 years. So if we do get a Wolverine as a part of this new X-Men team, it looks like it might be Hugh Jackman's. And at this point in time, it really does seem all but confirmed that the X-Men film is going to be coming after Avengers Secret Wars. We pretty much assume so already, but since we got reports quite a bit ago that Marvel Studios was already working on the new X-Men film, we thought that perhaps it might come in between Avengers Doomsday and Secret Wars, and possibly be an Avengers vs. X-Men film, but now it does not seem to be the case. It seems like they're just getting a big head start on one of their first projects of the next phase after Secret Wars, which will be the new X-Men movie. And we have a lot of details about the new X-Men film thanks to insider Daniel RPK. And I'll just start off by reading what he says. He says, Marvel Studios has big plans for the X-Men, but they're skipping one major step. Unlike past versions, there won't be an origin story for the mutants when they make their MCU debut. Instead, they'll already be a part of the world, avoiding another reintroduction of their history. And just to add a comment about this part right here, this does seem to be very Kevin Feige and very MCU. Kevin Feige likes to avoid the traditional origin stories that we've heard many times before, and especially the ones that we've seen on screen before. This doesn't mean that they avoid talking about their origin completely, but Kevin Feige does like to put a twist on it. Think Spider-Man in the MCU, Tom Holland's Spider-Man. We never got the origin story. Think to Captain America Civil War, when Peter was actually about to explain the origin story of himself, Tony actually cuts him off. So they don't tell the story because, well, we know it. Now that's Spider-Man, and he is possibly the most popular superhero in the world, but even for the new Fantastic Four film that we are getting, they are not doing a true traditional origin story. It looks like the origin is going to be told via flashbacks. So not traditional, but you are still getting a decent origin, and that's probably how it's going to be for the X-Men. But we have seen a lot of X-Men films from Fox, and we've seen a lot of animated X-Men projects as well, including X-Men 97 from Marvel Studios, which was fantastic. So it seems like Marvel Studios is going to just jump right into the X-Men already having a team. And you can let me know in the comments if you like this, or if you'd rather have them build up individual X-Men and eventually have them come together like they did for the first Avengers. Let us know in the comments. He continues, casting for the team is already in motion, with Marvel searching for actors in their 20s and 30s. They want younger stars, but not teenagers, making it clear they're looking for a fresh but experienced cast. This approach keeps things balanced. Young enough to carry the franchise forward for years, but old enough to avoid another high school version of the team. And I do really like this. I've been saying for a while, it looks like the cast is going to be kind of in their early 20s. We've heard a lot about Sadie Sink from Stranger Things playing Jean Grey. She's 22 years old currently, which I think is a really good age because she could play this character for the next 10 years. Because we know the X-Men are going to be around for a very long time in the MCU. Like, we're not just going to get the next saga, the mutant era of the MCU, and then be done after that. Of course, they're going to continue on into other sagas for a very long time. Daniel RPK continues, and he says, with the X-Men being one of the biggest properties yet to appear in the MCU, fans have been waiting to see how they'll be introduced. By skipping an origin, Marvel avoids retreading old ground and jumps straight into new stories. This decision means we won't see how mutants first appear in the MCU, at least not in detail. Instead of watching Professor X gather his first students or seeing Magneto's tragic past unfold again, the story will likely begin with the X-Men already established. That could mean Wolverine, Cyclops, Storm, and the rest of them are already well-known heroes or even working in secret. I think this might be a problem if they release the X-Men movie right now, because they would have to address the fact that we have not seen the X-Men anywhere in the MCU. There's been no mention of them really. Easter eggs here and there, but we haven't seen anybody. Not in the main 616 timeline, that is. But since this film is going to be coming after Secret Wars, and reportedly we are getting a soft reboot after Avengers Secret Wars, it works. Because something that they're probably going to do in the new universe is when this new universe is established moving forward after Secret Wars, mostly everybody who is in that universe won't remember what the past was like, but in fact, to their knowledge, the universe that they are currently going to be in is the universe that they've always been in. They do this in the comics, and they also did this in Crisis on Infinite Earths. A bunch of universes and characters basically fused into one at the end, and mostly everybody, like 99.9% of the people in that universe, did not remember their old universes, or what it was like before the event took place. And that's probably how Marvel is going to do that. This way, we do get to keep our past. It's not erased, like Iron Man, Captain America, Black Widow. It's not erased from history, but moving forward, we do get a fresh start. But what that also means is that the X-Men universe will fuse with ours, and in that old universe, the origin would have already happened. So we're picking up at a time where the X-Men already exist. So it works after Secret Wars. It wouldn't work right now, but based on what Marvel Studios has planned, I think this will work. And continuing with his report, he says casting younger actors suggests Marvel is thinking long term. They need stars who can commit to multiple films, potentially over the next decade. The strategy worked well for the Avengers, where actors like Chris Evans and Robert Downey Jr. became defining faces of the franchise. And he concludes with, it's still unclear which mutants will be a part of the first lineup or how they'll connect to the larger MCU. With Doomsday and Secret Wars on the horizon, some believe the multiverse will play a role in bringing them in. For now, though, we seem to know one thing. There's no origin story planned, and Marvel is already building the future of the X-Men. And yeah, it makes perfect sense that they would start now. This is going to be an insanely huge project and an insanely huge moment for the MCU. It makes total sense that they are working on this already. And since they are working on it already, it seems like they might already have their villain, and that could be Mr. Sinister. This report is coming from the insider My Time to Shine Hello, who says Marvel Studios is eyeing Javier Bardem to play Mr. Sinister in the MCU. And this obviously isn't confirmed. Just because they are eyeing him doesn't mean that he is going to be the one who ends up playing Mr. Sinister, but I do like this choice. I actually think he would do a really good job, and if you think about some of the characters that he's played in the past, I think his demeanor works very well for Sinister. But you'll have to let me know what you think in the comments down below. Now, we do have one more casting choice, which I gotta say, I actually kind of like this as well. According to industry insider Jeff Snyder from theinsnyder.com, Julia Butters is being eyed to play Kitty Pryde in the new X-Men film. He states, I understand that Butters is Jewish, which is relevant given that the character of Kitty Pryde is also Jewish. Elsewhere, I continue to hear that Sadie Sink from Stranger Things and Harris Dickinson are being eyed for Jean Grey and Scott Summers, but interest doesn't amount to a signed deal. And there are a variety of factors that could affect things, from money and scheduling to how large of a commitment Marvel is seeking from each of these young actors. That said, Butters appears to be the right age to play a student at the Xavier School for Gifted Youngsters, while Dickinson and Sink are the right age to play recent graduates. The new X-Men movie does not have a release date yet, though it could hit theaters as soon as late 2027, as Secret Wars will try to break the box office records that May. Stay tuned for more, and there's one other big X-Men rumor floating around out there. I have a feeling that CinemaCon is gonna be nuts this year. So according to this report, Marvel is going to establish an already established X-Men team, but of course, Xavier will have students, setting up future X-Men, and those will probably get pretty decent origin stories for. So I think that this could definitely work. And Kevin Feige, the president of Marvel Studios, got his career started off at Marvel with the first X-Men film with Hugh Jackman's Wolverine. So this is kind of home for him, and it means a whole lot to him, the X-Men do. So right now the X-Men are in great hands, and it sounds like Marvel Studios really has worked on their plan for the X-Men. They're going to obviously continue to develop that plan, but right now it looks like things are in full motion for development for the new X-Men film, and it sounds like this is going to be our first movie coming right after Avengers Secret Wars, which makes sense considering that Kevin Feige has said the next saga is the mutant era of the MCU. So to start off the mutant era, what better way to do that than with an X-Men movie? So we have a lot of really exciting news here. We're going to continue to get a lot of really exciting news, so be sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell so you don't miss out on a single video. And don't forget to leave your thoughts about this news in the comments down below. Please don't forget to like this video if you enjoyed it, and you can also find us on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. As always, thank you all so much for watching. Woof woof.